Hey guys, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And I hope you enjoyed this interview. All right, welcome back to the program. My guest is with me now. Johnson Chukwu is the Group Managing Director at Cowry Asset Management Limited. Chief Chukwu, welcome to the program. Good morning, and good to have you join us this morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for having me.
No, fantastic. Good to have you. I think we should just get started. Let me just shoot, the story of NNPC, getting out a press release saying it's under financial strain amid the debts owed, amid the profit that was released, that was announced 2 weeks ago. Yes, it's not even up to 2 weeks because I was at the NNPC headquarters when that press briefing was on. They invited just a few of us, and I was privileged to be in the room when that result was announced, 3.2 trillion naira. You're seeing assets, total assets of NNPC in excess of 240 trillion naira. What are your views on this, really? How troublesome is this news?
Well, Nancy, I had expected that, and the reason is this. NNPC profitability is different from NNPC liabilities. NNPC had been funding fuel importation in the country from its own resources. And that simply means that the Federation account have to either refund NNPC or allow it to deduct as source. Unfortunately, NNPC is no longer in a position to deduct as source because all remittances, Federation account remittances go straight to the central bank. So without reimbursement, NNPC had to import on credit. It's completely different from its profitability. Profitability had to do with NNPC is a major oil trading company of the country, and NNPC gets a margin on its transaction, on any transaction it's doing for the Federation. Like, for instance, if he imports fuel, there is a margin he has to add. If he sells crude on behalf of the federal government, he has a margin. So that's where his profit comes from, plus other services he renders. NNPC has a retail outlet. It has its own trading arm, NNPC Trading. You have NNPC Retail. You have other income-generating arms of NNPC like NEPL. So those ones are generating revenue for the entity, for the National Oil Company. But beyond that, it's also under the Petroleum Industry Act. NNPC is also the last supplier of petroleum products. So as it stands today, we are currently selling fuel at prices that are below the landing cost of fuel. So with that, there is a subsidy, whether we call it under recovery or whatever we call it. I think the CFO of NNPC said that at that press briefing.
Yes.
Yeah.
He called it shortfall.
So if you have that, it then means, for instance, you import fuel for let's assume $1 billion, and you sell the fuel you imported for $800 million equivalent. There is a huge gap of $200 million. Somebody has to pay for it. And I think the subsidy or the recovery, or whatever we call it, is far above 20% of the landing cost. So if the Federation account is not in a position to reimburse NNPC, NNPC may not be in a position to meet those obligations to the suppliers as they fall due. So that's why I said basic understanding of economic issues will let you know that a hole is being dug somewhere, and that hole will need to be filled at some point, or it will bring some stress to everybody in the value chain.
Chief Chukwu, please, can we just get to Economics 101, and you will have to explain that again to our viewers, because you mentioned profitability is different from liability. A layman would assume that for an NNPC that is announcing a profit of 3.2 trillion naira, you are owing $6 billion. The same NNPC is saying we have financial strain. This is net profit too. Do you understand? So if you are making profit, you know where I'm going to. If you are making profit as an individual, that profit is accrued to you. How much sense? I want to speak pidgin, but I'm looking for so that people will understand what I say. How not nonsensical is it that you are saying I get 3.2 trillion for my kitty, but I still dey under financial strain, because those of you that are economists, before you use economy and confuse all of us this morning, I refuse to be confused. So please explain again.
Okay, let me try to explain it in, like you said, in a layman's language. Let's assume I am your agent. I have my shop in Wuse 2 or in Nyanya Market. And then in that my shop, I sell human hair. So
like the one I'm wearing, Abi, out of everything you want to see.
So I buy my human hair for 100 naira. I sell it for 102 naira. So I make 2 naira profit. So if I sell 100, I will make 2 naira times 100, which is 200 naira. So that becomes my profit. Then in addition to that, you now tell me that, Johnson, I also want you to sell human hair to everybody maybe in Nyanya or any other remote part of Abuja. And then you say the people in Nyanya cannot afford to buy the human hair at 102 naira. So you need to be selling the human hair at 80 naira. So when I buy you now tell me, you are doing that for your own account, for the account of Chief Nancy. So I will now ask people to supply human hair to me. They supply the human hair to me at 100 naira. The one that is for you, not the one that I'm doing on my own. So they now give me 1,000 units of human hair on account that you will bring the money, Chief Nancy. And then I will distribute this to those in those rural areas that are going to get it for 80 naira. And then there is a huge gap of 20 naira per human hair. And then Chief Nancy, those people have supplied this human hair to me on the basis that I'm acting on your own instruction, that you will pay, you bring the money. Along the line, you have not brought the money. And then the people who have collected the human hair has only paid 80 naira. So what happens? With that my small profit of 2,000 naira, I am not in a position to pay the huge gap in terms of the cost that this will have supplied the human hair, and the cost will made me sell the human hair to those who cannot afford it to buy a commercial rate. So that is where NNPC is. NNPC has done its own trades, done its own transaction, declared profit of 3.2 trillion naira. And then, but the government is also doing business for the government in terms of supplying petroleum products to the economy at costs.
And the government is not paying NNPC back the money it's using as a shortfall, because the government has put itself in a precarious situation by saying that there was no subsidy. Subsidy is gone in May 2023. Yes, May 2023. So no allocation for subsidy in the budget, because if there was, they would have given NNPC that money.
Thank you. So that's where we are. So, but government is making NNPC to import the product, sell at discounted rate or below landing cost. But government is now reimbursing NNPC. NNPC profit on its own normal transaction cannot be what is used to pay for that, because that's a completely different transaction. I don't know whether you get what I'm saying. That's why I use the case of a woman who is selling hair in Abuja. You do your own transactions, you make your margin, 2 naira per hair, human hair, and then your boss says to you, also bring in this product and sell at lower than market price to a larger audience, and then I will pay you, and they're not paying you. So the people who are supplying the products to you, you're telling them, look, on the good faith of the federal government of Nigeria, supply us refined petroleum products. We will pay you. And then they've supplied the refined petroleum products. The government has not made the money available to you, so you can't pay them. And those people are saying, until you pay us the ones you're owing us, we are in difficulty supplying you further. Even if you convert the 3.2 trillion NNPC has made, it's about $2 billion. It is not enough to pay $6 billion debt. And so that debt is on federation account, and it has to be deducted as source. And that's what we must recognize as a people.
So I don't even know what to say anymore, because where does it leave us now as a country in terms of the suppliers are saying they are not giving us crude, they are not giving us petrol anymore. This is a country that is the 6th largest producer of crude in the world, Anyway, let me just muster courage for the next few minutes till 12 noon to do this show. So where does it leave us as a country? That is one. The same federal government, the same President Tinubu has also given NNPC a go-ahead not to remit the dividend to the federation accounts. So would you say also that that is a way of the federal government, for the federal government to repay NNPC by saying halting NNPC's payments to federation accounts, which is constitutionally back, which it should not do in the first, which it should not do in the Mr. Chukwu, please just go ahead because I don't even know what to say. The country just turned into a laughing stock to me this morning. I don't know. Let's just,
Okay, Nancy, I've always said that we need to get our economies right. And I remember in one of your programs, I said that if you get the economy wrong, a lot of things will fail. That the society is built around economic viability, economic connections. And I remember one of those jokes I gave to you that if you have a church, if you start a church and the minister is so spirit-filled, and is one of the best preachers in the world, and he says there's no offering, no tithe, no contribution, it would just take a matter of months for the church to close down. Every organization in the world runs on economics of demand and supply, not only economics of demand and supply, on basic economics of getting value for money or being remunerated for money, for value. So what we're facing today in the country is that we have seen our economy, our basic fiscal framework deteriorate over time. And we don't seem to realize how bad our situation is. And before I go further on that, I've also said that, look, the shortest route to addressing our problems is not a simple it, is that we need to go back and improve crude production. If we have a crude production volume of 2.5 million barrels, 3 million barrels, now in 6 months, we'll begin to work out our challenges. Otherwise, I don't know how deep the situation we are finding ourselves could get. We're now dealing with a fuel scarcity that has lasted for more than 6 weeks because NNPC is constrained, because products were imported and distributed at prices are below their landing cost, and the federal government does not have the wherewithal to reimburse the NNPC. Remember that in the past 7 months, the 3 years of government have only shared about 8 trillion naira. Now, 8 trillion naira, if you convert it at current exchange rate of even 1,500, you are still going to have something in the region of just about $5 billion. It's slightly above $5 billion, which means the entire amount has been shared by the 3 tiers of government. It's not even enough to pay back. If the amount is NNPC has not told us the amount. I mean, we have media report that says $6 billion. Assuming the amount is $6 billion, really and truly, then it simply means the amount that the 3 tiers of government has shared in the past 7 months is not even enough to pay back that amount. So that means we're dealing with an economic environment where the revenues of the government is far below the government expenditure when you add the subsidy that government has absorbed, which is actually a negative tax. Because a couple of things went wrong. And the subsidy we are referring to, we have to look at the genesis of the current subsidy. It's all about the movement in exchange rates. Because exchange rates further diverged from the 750 naira that was used as the basis for the subsidy is gone pronouncement to about 1,500 to 1,600. The landing cost of fuel had to adjust accordingly because fuel is imported in dollar. And once you adjust for that, you realize that if you keep pump price at where they were, certainly subsidy had evolved again. But unfortunately, we're also dealing with a cost of living crisis that you really cannot, government is finding it difficult to pass on the burden of a higher pump price. And so we're in a catch-22. Either way, we're in difficulty.
Okay, we're in a catch-22 situation. 2 questions emanating from there. NNPC is the cash cow, and you've just said it rightly. Last week, I discussed the GDP growth of Nigeria, and looking at even GDP growth for the past few years, I've also realized that our GDP growth, or economy grows as a result of the volume of oil we produce and the price of oil. If the volume of oil is better, the quantity we produce, we make more money. If the price is good, it also favors us. So where am I going to with this? Fuel price here in Abuja is selling for around 1,000 naira. In other parts of the country, even more than that. I don't know how much it is in Lagos where you are. Is this a backdoor avenue for NNPC now to say, let market forces, let market forces take control? Because the president had put the country in a very precarious situation by saying fuel subsidy is gone. Yet, if we're supposed to, pay according to the landing price, we'll be paying more than 1,000 naira now, even for the price of fuel. That's one. Then number two, NNPC itself, NNPC Limited itself, many Nigerians now do not believe that company. In terms of, it has now come out to say we are under financial strain. Before, they would deny a lot of stuff. Now it's coming out to say we are under financial strain. Media reports are reporting that NNPC owing petrol suppliers, it will be as if they go one step forward, 2 steps backward. Nigerians do not really trust that commercial entity, because they say it's a commercial entity now, agency of government, one side, agency of government. So where does it really leave the NNPC Limited right now as per that?
Okay, let me start from the first part of your question where you said when oil sector grows, the economy grows. If you look at the Q2 GDP figure, you realize that the oil sector grew at 10.15%. And then we saw the economy grow at 3.19%. But interestingly, the oil sector only accounts for about 5.7% of the GDP today. But that growth we saw of 10.15%, you have to be looked at in context, because second quarter last year, crude production was only 1.22 million barrels a day. In the second quarter of this year, it was 1.5 million barrels a day. So if you are comparing 1.22 million barrels in second quarter of last year to 1.41 million barrels average crude production in the second quarter of this year, you think there's an improvement, which is what it looks like. But if you recognize that in the first quarter of this year, average crude production was 1.57 million barrels. First quarter, first 3 months of the year, average crude production was 1.57 million barrels a day. What that means is that we are still dealing with a situation where we have a decline in crude production. And that's why the fiscal strain is actually intensifying. So unless we have a consistent increase in crude production, back to the question of NNPC. You said a lot of people don't have doubts about NNPC. Unfortunately, Nancy, they are doing a thankless job. And I am one of those people who have said, look, we have to look at where does the authority reside. In leadership, you have to look at where does authority, are you carrying out a delegated authority? And then if you are carrying out delegated authority, then the responsibility should be with the person who has delegated authority to you and not you. Because they say you can delegate authority, but you can't delegate responsibility. NNPC, as it's currently constituted, is not really the proper context of a private company in terms of owned by private sector investors, or subject to a private sector appointed board of directors. All the directors of NNPC are government appointees. And if you are their government appointed, even talking about non-executive directors of NNPC, then they are subject to government influence. NNPC is owned by Ministry of Trade Incorporated, and then Ministry of Petroleum
Finance
Incorporated.
Yes.
Yes, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, MOFI, and Ministry of Petroleum Incorporated, 50%. That's why they own NNPC. So NNPC is still an agency of government. A lot of the blames we heap on the management of NNPC are instances where they are carrying out delegated instructions or responsibility. Take, for instance, the issue of subsidy. The CFO and NNPC came to you guys in that and said, look, the government is telling us to sell product at the price that is below our landing cost. I'm sure, Nancy, you recall that. So we still blame them for the scarcity. Now the government is supposed to have reimbursed them. The government has not reimbursed them. So if they've not reimbursed them, we are expecting them to be magicians and then just keep importing fuel. You know, we have to look at who should we keep the responsibility on the challenges we have in the oil and gas sector on. It's beyond the management of NNPs. And I've shared this with some people. If we talk of the turnaround maintenance, look at the time, all the award of turnaround maintenances of the NNPC refineries, we are actually done by the executive arm of government. But then the management of NNPC will take responsibility because they are the face. So a lot of times we are attacking the wrong person. The question is that what is the responsibility of the government, executive arm of government, in terms of running the Nigerian oil and gas sector?
Okay.
If we situate it there, we will put pressure on the right people.
So who is the right person now? President Tinubu, who is the Minister of Petroleum?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And why are we not calling him out?
Then
He's the person
Lokobiri, Minister of Safety.
If you have a problem with the ministry, the minister should talk to us. The box stops on his table. So instead of attacking the agents, let's attack the principal. And that is rule in leadership and in terms of authority and responsibilities. The person who has authority is responsible.
Now,
you can delegate.
The question now is who will bail the
authority, you can't delegate responsibility.
Chief Chukwu, who will bail the cat now? NNPC is under financial pressure. If it's banks now, we say okay, CBN is the bankers to the banks, a banker to the banks, or lender of last resort. But this one is not a who will bail the cat now? Because there's a financial strain. The NNPC has said I'm really under. Who will bail the cat now? What will happen? Then the issue of Warri Refinery and Port Harcourt Refinery, NNPC also came out a few days ago to say that it's transferring Warri and Kaduna refineries to the maintenance and co to private investors. I don't know if you also understood that statement. Because the same NNPC has came out to say at the time, the Warri Refinery will start producing in August. We are in September now, it's not producing. Now is just before August elapsed, is saying Warri and Kaduna to private investors. I don't know if you are part of the private investors or you are part of the advisors to those that are going to be handling it.
Nancy, I'm neither of both, too. Not at all. I did my own corner.
Okay.
Okay, back to who will bear the cat. I think I read an article that said that the federal government released about $300 million at some point to NNPC to defray part of this debt, which is a drop in the ocean. It still has to come from the federal government, the executive arm of government, that will give instructions to the central bank to avail this NNPC funds.
You see the central bank again. Central bank again.
The central bank is the banker of the
government. I know.
Yeah, government money there for central bank. So central bank government has to give central bank authority to pay on his behalf. We have to realize that. NNPC does not have that money. Okay, so he's not in a position to pay for that. Even if NNPC has to go and borrow, the authority of the federal government, they have to go and borrow. Like they've done in the past, where they had to raise money to meet federal government obligations. And the payments for that will have come from crude production. And then we will hold NNPC for the fiscal challenges we have in the country. Now, the second part of your question, you were asking me, how do we resolve these problems? Is that correct?
Yes, Warri and Kaduna refinery.
Yes,
Port Harcourt.
So the issues around Warri and Kaduna refineries.
Kaduna refineries, yes.
Is that, like I've also said in your program and several other programs, that these refineries are obsolete. Their FCCD, fluid catalytic cracking devices, are obsolete. That these refineries will be difficult to fix. If you remember, Chukwu, then Minister of State for Petroleum, tried it and got to a point where he said that the output from the production of a barrel of crude by this refinery, from the refinery of a barrel of crude, the value of the output is less than the value of the input. So if we are selling a barrel of crude now for $80 $80, and then you put it in any of these refineries, and they refine, you bring out the output, the fuel, the naphtha, the diesel and kerosene and everything, aviation fuel, you're going to get a value that is less than $80. So which was a waste. And that was why he stopped. So I don't think that has materially changed. So in the first place, NNPC has said, look, let's go out and look for a private sector investor to run these refineries. I can tell you, Nancy, it is going to be a tough call for any private sector investor to bid and expect to run these refineries. Two things. One, the economists have, in terms of technological efficiency of these refineries, they are obsolete. Two, getting feedstock for consistent operation of Kaduna refinery is nearly going to be impossible because you have to pump crude from the Escravo area or from the Warri area up to Kaduna. If you do that, the pipe will be broken 1,000,001 times by people who are trying to survive. So that the Kaduna refinery, as far as I'm concerned, would be difficult to get feedstock.
And even now about the money, since NNPC saying is also under financial strain, where they go get money to pay?
So those are the challenges. NNPC does not even have money to pay. But most importantly, the technicalities of running the refineries, the Warri refinery and the Warri refinery is actually close to the feedstock. So you have to deal with how efficient is the Warri refinery. If it cannot produce output that is higher in value to the input, that is not something you want to run.
Okay.
Concept of the business is that the sum of the output should be higher than the sum of the inputs, and that's the value creation. Otherwise, you're talking of value erosion.
Okay. We're getting a comment from one of our viewers. His name is Prince Isaac from Lagos. He said, my question is, why should we be importing fuel when we have enough crude oil running in our soil naturally? Then again, why is it difficult for every come-and-go administration shying away from revamping our refineries? You've just answered that. Why it's difficult? The FCC device, it's not working and we can't get it to work. All the Abacha looted monies is more than enough to put our refineries in better shape. If these cabals are not playing politics, there's time for everything and laughing Soweto. That's Prince Isaac from Lagos. Okay, let's leave NNPC for a while and crude for a while because we've used the last 15 minutes or thereabouts to look at NNPC itself. Let's take a look at another issue. The Central Bank of Nigeria, the survey just conducted a few days ago, or in July, did say that Nigerians will spend most of their monies on food and other essentials, education, transport. If we have that card, we can put it on screen. Is the central bank telling us what we don't know, or they are just reiterating it? Because I know that I spend more money on food than any other thing. If I have, if I have 10,000 naira, for example, about 80% goes to food. That's my own calculation. So, Mr. Chukwu, over to you.
And Nancy, that's even because you're a big woman. Families like mine, we spend about 95% of our income on food.
Mr. Chukwu, I don't know about the big thing. Everybody they suffer now.
I beg you, remember your voice.
Everybody they suffer. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so basic thing is that it's a fact we have all known. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, the basis of the consumer price index is also a reflection of the proportion of household income that is spent on any of these items. We know that given our level of development, given the level of household income, that Nigerian households spend 90% of their income on basics, food, clothing, and rent, as well as transportation. In fact, a lot of families spend more than 100% of their income on these basic items. So there's nothing strange about that. I think the 54.9 points that they indicated is actually an understatement. Because if you take an average Nigerian household, most people spend 80% of their income or more on food and food-related items. Now, things are tough. The cost of living crisis we are dealing with is very excruciating. You need to go to the streets and see how families are struggling. Somebody told me the New Year festival, one of the traditional leaders in my village was telling me that, look, things are very tough, but that the tuber of yam in my village is 5,000 naira. I said, what? So if you have a household of 5 or 6, that is parents and 4 kids, of course, the tuber of yam may not be able to feed the guys. So in that case, single meal, without getting the oil, the other ingredients for the stew or the sauce, you will spend 5,000 naira. So how much is your income? Now say 5,000 times 10 it gives you 50,000. Times 20 gives you 100,000. Times 30 give you 150,000 naira. On average, Nigerian household do not earn 150,000 naira a month.
Exactly. When you take money to the market and you buy something, I'll be looking for what I bought compared to the amount that I took to the market with. Do you understand what I'm saying? What did I buy? And the next thing, under like 1 week, 2 weeks, if like, mommy is finished. I say, what finish? Is that how food finishes? You know, but I know that a lot of Nigerians are passing through the stress even more. That brings me now to the critical question of insecurity, banditry attacks that we're seeing right now, left, right, and center, and what it will do to agricultural commodity. Just a few weeks ago, too, we saw that the price of tomatoes and a few commodities have come down. But how temporal will that be? Because this insecurity has reared its ugly head again. It seems that I was speaking to, of course, members of our news editorial board, which I'm a member of last week. We were just brainstorming, and I did say even at the meeting that insecurity now is an enterprise in Nigeria, is a business venture. So it's difficult to even stamp out because perhaps even those fighting it are also part of the system itself.
Okay, let's start from the issue of the impact of insecurity on what we call food security. Then in the first place, you saw food inflation moderate in the month of July because we're in the harvest season, not because of the imported food items. Imported food items will start coming in August. We also saw agricultural sector growth, particularly from crop production. Agricultural sector grew to 1.41%, up from about 0.18% in the first quarter of this year because of the harvest season. The harvest season is going to be just a season. Very soon, by the time you get towards the dry season, you go back to the planting season. And then the surplus food, because we don't have preservation capacity, the surplus food that is being pushed in the market will dry up. And then we'll go back to where we're coming from. The core of the problem is that we need to address the issue of insecurity. And I was discussing with a very senior ranking security personnel who say that the key thing is for the federal government, particularly the presidency, to take a decisive action to deal with the issue of insecurity. There are technologies today that you can see movement of people around. You have Google, you have even the private commercial Google that you can actually capture movements, monitor movements around the country, and then make sure that you take preemptive strike to prevent these criminals from displacing farmers. And government needs to take very decisive measures to both kinetic and non-kinetic measures to stop this insecurity. If we do not address the issue of insecurity, Nancy, we will not address the issue of food scarcity. And we will not address the core problem we're facing now, which is cost of living crisis. Our primary problem we're dealing with are two. Deal with the issue of insecurity so that you have improved food production. Nigerians have been feeding themselves for decades. How come we can no longer feed ourselves? And then two, address the issue of food production so you can earn enough foreign exchange to help stabilize the exchange rate, possibly lead to a reduction in the exchange rate, a moderation in the exchange rate. That will improve inflation rates, improve government ability to support import, or central bank ability to support import, and reduce even the price of fuel. So if we don't address those two issues, which are revolving around insecurity, then we're just running in a cycle. The government needs to take decisive action to arrest the insecurity in the major food belts. Nancy, Benue people are living in IDP camp. Several places like Agato and all those places are desolate. These are where they were producing all the yam that people used to carry trucks to go and bring yam to the southern part of the country. Go to the northwest. Places like Zamfara is desolate. People are now paying whatever they call them, to be able to go to their farms.
Okay.
And then bandits. And then you still run the risk of being kidnapped in your farm. We need to address that. Nigeria has never seen it this bad. And if we fix that, everything we are speaking is grammar.
Okay. Let's leave that a bit. The month of August has come and gone. What one word do you have for August, even as we enter September? What one word would you use to describe August that has passed?
Well, I think, Nancy, if I
For
have
our
to use a single
economy,
word,
yes.
I think the economy, Nigerian economy is still, the August was not different from the other months in terms of the economic condition of the country, and particularly the economic condition of citizens. We saw, yes, inflation moderated in July, but we saw exchange rate spike again to around 1,600 in the month of August. We've seen fuel prices get to close to 1,000 naira per liter. Those things will flush into August inflation rate, so we should expect higher inflation rate in August. And any uptick in inflation has a direct impact on Nigerian households.
Okay. How about your outlook for September?
Well, I was thinking that we're going to see a further moderation, but like I said, the fuel price crisis we're having now, it looks like it will subsist in the month of September, which means households will also have to continue to go through some of these challenges. I'm hoping that the government will effectively implement the new minimum wage to act as some level of cushion to Nigerian households. Hopefully, with the peak of harvest season, food prices will moderate, even if it's marginally, and to grant us, poor Nigerians, some level of relief.
Okay. Chief Chukwu, we just have about 3 minutes to the end of this program. For the markets, August has come and gone. How would you describe the markets moving forward, especially with the flurry of rights issues, public offers and co? Wema Bank, I saw the news concerning Wema Bank, was it yesterday or this morning? So how, in one sentence, how would you describe the market moving forward, the stock market? That is one. Number two is that you're someone that frequently flies. If someone recognizes you on the plane and says, Mr. Chukwu, I have like £1 million to invest, where do I put my money as we come to the end of the year? What would be your response? That I see your face on Moneyline with Nancy always. Give me some investment advice. What would that be?
Well, I get that every time, everywhere.
Oh, really?
Every time. Yes. No, in terms of the equity market, the equity market has already defied some of the challenges or concerns we had. We saw the market began to rally towards the end of August, which is quite strange given that there are several public offers, and what we're thinking that a lot of resources economic resources would have gone into the public offers. Also, given that yield on federal government debt instruments spiked in August, we saw a T-bill, 364-day bill, at about 22.5% at some point. It just moderated now to about 20.9%. So we still saw a lot of votes in the equity space. So I think that will likely continue in September because half-year results are going to be published by companies, and people who are looking for benefit payment and waiting for half-year interim dividend may want to take positions in equity. The last question is that if somebody asks Johnson Chukwu, where do I put my money and I have £1 million, I will tell you to invest in fixed income instruments. There are several fixed income instruments in the market, starting from federal government debt instruments to commercial papers, and then including if you can convert your $1 million to dollar, 1 million naira to dollar, I can also tell you that we would sell to you Euro bonds, both sovereign Euro bonds or corporate Euro bonds. We will sell to you mutual fund, dollar-denominated mutual funds. We sell to you dollar notes. We can also sell to you the federal government diaspora bond, ask you to subscribe to it.
Yeah.
So that will also help you guard against any movement in the exchange rate.
Okay, finally, President Tinubu in China. What substantial things should he come back with in a minute? The meeting, of course, will focus on National Planning Corporation, green economy, satellite development, and all of that. He will visit the CRCC, that's the China Rail and Construction Company, and some other, Huawei, yes, in China too. So what should President Tinubu bring back?
Nancy, the most important thing that any president of this country will bring back from any engagement with foreign investors and foreign government is to get the foreign government to encourage their nationals to have inbound investment in the sector productive activity. China is the industrial base of the world. Nigeria has some similarities in terms of population, in terms of the youthfulness of the labor force, in terms of cheap cost of labor. So the emphasis should be that the president and his team, and I'm happy that the Minister of Trade and Investment is part of that team, should encourage Chinese investors to come and invest in productive activities in the economy. That's that's the most important thing we need to do beyond the existing relationship the government has with Chinese government through any of their agencies is already funding infrastructure development in the country. But what we need most critical at this point is investment in this sector of productive activities.
Okay, I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Mr. Chukwu, for your insights this morning. What a way to start Monday. Thank you very much for your perspectives this morning. Chief Chukwu, good to see you. I hope to see you soon.
You know, I told you I've been promoted to High Chief, Nancy.
All right, Chief Chukwu, so I'll see you soon. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a fantastic week.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I've been speaking with the Group Managing Director of Cowry Asset Management Limited, Chief Johnson Chukwu. We've been speaking about burning economic issues. That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you all for your company and for your messages to us on our social platforms. I am Nancy Naji. Be the best you can be and be the change that you want to see. Bye now. Thank you for watching. In case this is your first time watching us, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, drop your comments as well as like, and most of all, share our content.